Hey everybody, welcome to Europe for Americans. This is episode London 101. Now, the reason why this is called London 101 is because we're going to be talking about the basics about going to London. And what most Americans find most easy about London is that they all speak English. Some of the food is very familiar. Some people have issues with traveling into the Europe areas because they're going to have a language barrier. There's some foods they're not going to want to eat. So London is usually the most comfortable. As a matter of fact, the whole UK is pretty comfortable for an American, but London is usually the one that people go to because of all the landmarks, all the places that you can visit, the tourist areas. So we're going to do London 101. The first part of this we're going to talk about is where is London and how to identify the landmarks around London to learn your way around. London is the capital of Britain. Britain lies in the United Kingdom, which is an island just north of Europe. One of the most important landmarks that I like to use to identify where I'm at in London and to get my lay of the land is the Thames River. I'm going to outline the river in this blue so you can see what it looks like as far as the shape goes. Now, this is where you can find all the main attractions compared to the river. And if you're zooming in on it from a map, this little swirly over on the right is Canary Wharf. Now that we have the lay of it, let's transpose it back onto Google Earth. And then zoom back into where we want to be. And now let's start putting all the main attractions kind of back on the map. Now, as you notice, there's a whole bunch of symbols here for the underground. This is what the underground symbol looks like. It's the round circle with the blue writing in the middle. And this is called the tube there. It's not the metro, it's not the underground, it's the tube. I know it looks overwhelming when you're looking at this map, but we're not going to focus on all of London. We're just going to focus at the main tourist areas. And that's kind of down here. Remember what we talked about with the Thames River? You can see that here on the tube map. And right along this area that we've been focusing on, if we look closely at some of the stops, we're going to see all those main attractions. Like over here on the right, on the top, we can find Tower Hill, which is the Tower of London. And you can even see St. Paul's Cathedral in Westminster. Now, we know where all these are, and we can see there's two main lines that run right along these. There's a yellow one and a green one that go back and forth between these, so you can use either one. One is called the Circle Line and one is called the District Line. Those can be your main two if you're going between these main spots. Now, if we wanted to back out a little bit and look at more of the main part of London, and you wanted to travel somewhere else like Russell Square is where the British Museum is, or if you wanted to go to Oxford Circus or Piccadilly Circus where the shopping is, you can take the Bakerloo line for shopping at Oxford or Piccadilly Circus, and you can take the Circle Line all the way around if you wanted to go to Russell Square for the British Museum. Now let's talk about finding and using the tube. You're going to find these signs all around London, and when you get down, they're going to tell you how to get to the line that you want to use. There's always going to be directions to get to the line that you need. Just look for them. Once you get closer to your platforms, that will have maps of which direction to go, and on the platform it'll tell you when your train's arriving. To help you find your train and your platform, we're going to do a hypothetical route from, let's say, King's Cross, and we're trying to get to, let's say, how about Victoria? And we see that the light blue line is the one that goes between them. That one's the Victoria line. So to find where you're going on that line, you're going to look at the end of it. We're heading south, and it goes to Brixton. So we know we want to head south on Brixton. So now let's see which way we don't want to go. We don't want to go north to Walthamstow Central. So now that we know where we're going, let's figure out how to find our platform. When you get inside, you're going to find signs that tell you where to go. As you can see, the Victoria line, it has the blue color on it, and so does a platform sign. We're going from King's Cross, and there's Brixton, and we're going to Victoria. Euston is the next stop. So you can see there's a few Brixton trains coming, and how far away they are. And then you can also see as this train's coming in, the next stop is Houston. That's one that we're getting on. When you're on, you can see all the different stops along the way so you can kind of gauge them. I think we're doing 5 stops between King's Cross and Victoria. Now I need to add that paying for this is pretty easy. When you're going through the turnstile, you can use a contactless pay card, or you could even use Apple Pay if you wanted to. And when you get to the end line, when you're getting off, you go through another turnstile, and when you tap the same card or same Apple Pay, it'll know what distance you went and charge you for it. All of these maps and routes that I've shown you in this video have came from the app called TubeMap, London Underground. Make sure to download this. It has an advertisement every once in a while, but it's very detailed and you can plan your routes on it. Let's not forget what London is famous for, their buses. The double-decker buses, just the regular buses. It's a very convenient way to get around town. Also remember, they travel on the left side. This is what the bus stops look like. It's almost the same symbol as the Underground, and it'll tell you all the routes that travel on this bus stop. The buses also use contactless payment just like the Tube does. So before we start visiting all the sites in London, let's talk about a few things. There's different words that they use in London for things, and there's different etiquette they use there. And we're going to talk about some of that now. One of the important ones is a toilet. We call it a restroom or a bathroom. They call it a toilet there. They have a couple other words for it too. They also call it a water closet. You're going to see the WC sign if you're looking for a restroom. But if you want to sound like a local, you could call it the loo. There's a few other things that you need to know there. That's etiquette on an escalator. When you're in the UK, and especially even in Europe, you need to stand to the right and walk to the left. So make sure you stand to the right and let people pass you on the left. As you can see, everybody here is standing to the right so they can let people walk by on the left. And let's move from escalators to elevators. But they don't call them elevators there, they call them a lift. So if you're looking to try to find where your lift is in your hotel, make sure you say that word. Also, they don't call them French fries, they call them chips. And what we call chips, they don't call those chips. They call them crisps. So if you're looking for some potato chips, make sure you ask for crisps. Another interesting one is they don't call them trash cans, they call them bins. So if you're looking to throw something away, ask someone where the bin is. And for you parents out there, they're not called diapers, they're called nappies. I know the little baby here is taking a nappy, but the diaper there is called a nappy. So if you're going into the store to find diapers, that's what you call it. Now let's talk about British food. A lot of you had some anxiety about what you can and can't eat out there. And let's talk about some of the local foods. The first one that comes to mind is fish and chips. You're going to find plenty of bars and restaurants that have fish and chips out there. That's a local staple. And this is what you normally think of. But out there, they do it a little bit differently. Another staple British food out there is meat pies. Some meat pies are Michelin star, and some are just handheld little pockets of meat. And the Cornish pasties, they're called pasties, are nice little handheld meat pies that you can take with you like on the train or if you're walking around. You can also find meat pies at restaurants. Most of the time we go, one of us either gets a fish and chips and one of us gets a meat pie. One of the other normal British staples is English breakfast. This usually comes with beans, bangers, some back bacon, tomatoes, sometimes potatoes, some eggs, some toast, and sometimes blood pudding. Well, what is blood pudding, you ask? Well, that's an interesting question. Blood pudding is more of a sausage type food that has beef or pork blood in it. Yeah, we usually pass on that. Finding other things to eat for breakfast out there is pretty easy. They have a lot of different options at a lot of different restaurants, especially some really good French toast. But the one we can never pass on is afternoon tea. That has Britain written all over it, especially in London. It comes with a tower of 3 trays with savory sandwiches on the bottom row, scones with clotted cream and jam on the middle row, and sweet desserts on the top. This is always a go-to whenever we're in London. If eating locally kind of spooks you, don't worry. There's plenty of other restaurants like McDonald's, Burger King, there's plenty of those around, and even Subway. So if you want to find somewhere safe that makes you feel like you're back at home, they have those. We like Nando's. Nando's is a local sit-down quick restaurant that has just a grilled chicken with chips or rice, and it's a pretty safe spot to go to if you want to stay safe and local. Nando's is your place. So if you're still with us, I have something important to talk to you about. Now, if you're entering the UK, you still need to have your passport, but they're adding one more thing onto the whole system, and it's called an ETA. And now if you go to the website for your ETA, it'll tell you all the information about it, and it'll give you the link to apply, but the best thing to do is to download the app. Now, if you go all the way to the bottom of their website, you'll see there's 2 options there to download the app. If you go down just a little bit further, it'll have a start now, but that's just going to take you to another area to download the app. It even has a QR code, which I'll show you in just a minute. And then I'll give you the link for the website too. Here's the QR code to get the app. Once you have the app, it's going to walk you through everything you need to do, the 3 steps to get to your ETA and get it finished. It's not very expensive and it's pretty easy to set up as long as you have your passport scanned and all your information. Once you have the app downloaded, just go ahead and get started. Here are some of the facts. Here are the 3 most important things you need to know. It gives you access to the UK, it lasts for 2 years as long as your passport does, and it only costs $16. Thank you for joining us for London 101. Hopefully you've learned something more about London that you didn't know before. Join us again next time for London 102, where we talk about how to get in some of the local tourist areas and how to get around on the trains and the train stations from the airport or to the cruise port. There'll be a lot of useful information and some good etiquette. See you next time. And please feel free to visit our website at www.yourtravelgurus.net or call us at 888-GURUS-10. And keep in mind, we really need you guys to subscribe and ring that bell. Subscriptions really help us as far as making these videos, so every subscription helps. Also keep in mind, you can have one of us join you for any corporate or group event. We're more than happy to go with you.